Good morning. My name is CJ Knudsen. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Vermont Lake Monsters. We're a baseball team located in Burlington, Vermont. We've been around since 1994 in one fashion or the other. Today's presentation is just talking a little bit about baseball, showing a little some fun videos, getting into the history of baseball in Vermont a little bit, and then answer any kind of questions that we might have here. And so, the Vermont Lake Monsters kick off our season here on May 27th at Centennial Field, and we wrap up in early August. So only a couple weeks before opening day. We're excited about it, and can't wait to have the crowds come back to the ballpark and cheer on the Monsters. And so that's a picture of our guys holding the trophy. We won the championship last year, which is great. It's the first championship at Centennial Field since 1996. So pretty proud, and we have a good shot of winning it again this year. So this slide right here just talks about what the actual game of baseball is. Baseball can actually be a very tough game to describe, especially for somebody that's never have seen it, somebody from maybe that has not caught a baseball game. So this kind of goes into a little bit about the objective of how the game itself plays, how it works. Scoring runs, trying to get to a first base, second base, third base, and then eventually home plate. And then also baseball is described as America's pastime. So people would go to baseball games. A lot of small towns in Vermont and across the U.S. would have their own teams, and they would play against each other. And as a way for towns to get together, enjoy some community, and also cheer on their home team. So. But it tells you a little bit more about it. Baseball is a great game. It's a game that I've been involved in for about 27 years in one fashion or the other. I played baseball growing up. I was actually born in New York, but grew up in Jonesville, Vermont, so a small town on a mountaintop outside of Burlington. I played baseball as a little leaguer, then in high school, and I was fortunate enough to study sports management in college, and that's when I realized that baseball might be able to make a career out of it. So I did an internship with the Vermont Expos back in 1995, and kind of fell in love with it and started making it as a career. So graduated from Keene State College in 1996. I rejoined the Vermont Expos as their assistant GM in March of 1997, and hence the start of my baseball career professionally. I became the GM of the Vermont Expos in June of 2000. At that point, I was the youngest GM in the country. I was 25 years old and kind of handed the keys to the kingdom, and ultimately make that operation go and make the players and the field ready for play. I was with the Vermont Expos / Lake Monsters for 14 years. I ended up leaving those guys after the 2009 season to relaunch a franchise in Connecticut, in Norwich, Connecticut, which was tied into the Detroit Tigers. And then I was with those guys for about 11 years before the Vermont Lake Monsters called me again to come back home to Vermont to operate the franchise. So baseball has a ton of history. Jackie Robinson, they talked about, first African American joining Major League Baseball in 1947. His baseball number 42, is retired. You're not allowed to wear that number anymore, which is fantastic on any uniform across all of baseball. The variations of baseball, as you can kind of see on these slides here, from the 1800s to 1840s to present day. This is our baseball right here, which is looks very like a standard baseball. We're in the Futures League, which is a collegiate wooden bat league, and so we're required to play with this baseball right here. And so we order about 20 cases of baseballs for each season. Each case has about 120 baseballs in it, and for every game we end up preparing or rubbing down with special rubbing mud 5 dozen baseballs. And so we go through a lot of baseballs every single year. It could be fouled off into the stands, so the fans get the chance to keep it. Or if it's a rainy day, then those balls will get pulled out of the game and they'll become batting practice baseballs.
What's the difference than a regular Major League Baseball?
The seams seem to be the difference. And so if the seams are a little higher, the pitchers will have a little advantage to be able to spin it. So these seams tend to get a little lower and lower. And so
why they do it that way?
I think they do it from a competitive edge standpoint. And so Major League Baseball players tend to be very talented, and so from a college and high school level, the seams tend to be a little higher. And so here's the baseball that we use here.
This is your league.
That's our league.
These are higher seeds than
Than the major leagues. Yeah. Yeah. Babe Ruth, obviously that's a name that everybody knows. Fenway Park, built in 1912. Where we play, which is Centennial Field, is one of the oldest ballparks in the country. The field itself was built in 1906, and the grandstands that are currently up at the ballpark in Burlington were built in 1922. So history of baseball in Vermont, as I mentioned before, Centennial Field's built in 1906. It's called Centennial Field because it marks the 100th class, graduating class of UVM. There's been a ton of baseball players going through there. The first game was April 17th, and it was a victory over University of Maine. And then baseball has been around there in one fashion or the other, whether it be college baseball, collegiate wooden bat baseball, professional baseball. When I was a little leaguer, back in the 80s, we used to go to Centennial Field to see the Vermont Reds and Vermont Mariners. So a ton of people have played through there in the 80s. Ken Griffey Jr. is probably the most notable. Played for Seattle. Barry Larkin, Chris Sabo, all those guys played through there. Not to mention everybody that came through with the Expos, the Nationals, and then also the Athletics here. So, and then unfortunately UVM has ended up discontinuing their baseball program. They do have a club baseball team, which does use a field, and they play most of their games in the fall season as well. Minor league baseball returned in the form of the Vermont Expos in 1994, and then we played in the New York Penn League. So the New York Penn League was one of the oldest continuous baseball league in the country. Unfortunately, Major League Baseball about a year and a half ago ended up doing a major restructuring of all of baseball. So, and the New York Penn League was eliminated. So. They ended up eliminating about 25% of minor league baseball teams across the country, which equates to about 42 minor league baseball teams lost baseball in their community. So, for example, the Boston Red Sox affiliate in Lowell, Massachusetts, they were in the New York Penn League. They drew very well, have a beautiful ballpark. They basically shut their doors and walked away, unfortunately. So, the situation was very dire in Burlington. So after the season was canceled in 2020 due to COVID, what ended up happening after that season is that's when the Major League Baseball, minor league baseball contract expired, and that's when Major League Baseball decided to kind of take on minor league baseball on their own, and they ended up offering licensing or franchise agreements to teams that they wanted to use and select, and Burlington was not one of them. So there was kind of a very nervous point where after 25, 26 years of baseball continuously in Burlington, Vermont, there may not have been baseball again. And so what ended up happening is the owner at that time, Ray Pecor, decided that it might be time for him to pass the reins to somebody else. And so he ended up selling the ball club to a person named Chris English. And then Chris ended up reaching out to me to see if I can come back to Burlington to help run the Lake Monsters again and relaunch it. So he ended up purchasing the club on March 15th of 2021, so last year, and Chris and I started working together. So at that time, on March 15th, we had no players. So we had no players. The ballpark basically wasn't in operation for about 2 years, so we had a lot of work to do. We sent out 1,200 emails to college coaches and colleges all across the country. We started getting some response, and throughout the course of our season last year, we had over 67 guys, different guys play for us, 11 of whom were from Vermont. So that's the first time that we really had a lot of Vermonters on the team ever, from the history of the Vermont Expos in 1994 to the Vermont Lake Monsters. And so we were able to cobble together this team, and the crowds came out even despite the COVID restrictions for May and June. And we ended up winning the entire championship. So I think it really, last year was a storybook year for our franchise. I think for the fans, it secured baseball. We have baseball in Burlington for many, many years to come. We've done some major renovations up there. We plan on being here for a long time. So last year, our top prospect, Ethan Anderson, was named the top prospect for the league, and our organization was named the franchise of the year. So we're in the Futures Collegiate, the baseball league. It's a league that's been around since 2011. It's comprised of 8 teams. We travel as far south as Connecticut, to Norwich, Connecticut, New Britain, Connecticut. We also play in Nashua, New Hampshire. We also play in Massachusetts, so in Brockton, Massachusetts, Westfield, Massachusetts, Worcester. And this year we're playing a 64-game season. So again, we started at the end of May and wrap up in early August. So all the guys have to be in college. At least 12 individuals need to be from New England or go to a New England institution. So last year on our team, we had guys from Vermont, obviously. We had guys from New England, and we also had guys from all across the country. So since we won the championship last year, word got out very quickly that playing in front of 3,000 or 4,000 people at Centennial Field is a fun thing to do, especially spending a summer in Burlington, Vermont. And so our baseball roster, has been set since last September. And so we're no longer trying to recruit players per se. They're coming to us. And at the end of the day, our quality is we want to make sure that they're quality people off the field first, and then that they can play baseball second. So, and we have guys from Division I programs, Division II programs. We have guys from Harvard. We have guys from Stanford, Vanderbilt. We have guys from smaller schools, and they all come together here and start their season with us. So, since 1994, we've drawn over 2 million fans, and every year we play about 60 to 70 games. And I think you guys all know that big green guy. What's his name? Champ. Yeah, he's the face of the organization. He's our MVM, our most valuable monster. He's at every single ball game. He's been all over ESPN. He's been in various TV shows, and he has his own merchandise line, and he's excited that baseball's back.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
About the players? So they're all attending. They have to be in college.
They have to be in college. Yeah.
And your season starts in April. How do they, if they're coming, from Harvard or Stanford, how do they participate?
Yeah, we started at the end of May, and so as soon as their college end of May. Yep. So as soon as they're done playing college baseball, they'll come to us. So we will have to sign some players to temporary contracts, which could be a 10-day contract, because we're still waiting for other guys to come out of playing in college. Some of the guys that'll be with us might be playing in the College World Series, so we may not get them until the College World Series is done, or until they're eliminated from there. Yeah.
Is that a standard requirement for minor league players, that they are college players, or is that a requirement that you guys have for your team?
This is a requirement that we have for our league. Yeah, for the league that we're in. Okay. Yeah, which is the Future Collegiate FCBL, so Future Collegiate Baseball League. So, yeah, which we want to make sure that there's always some sort of local ties. And from my standpoint, last year, knowing that working at the Lake Monsters and Centennial Field when it was a professional minor league baseball team, being professional, the players would get paid. Our guys cannot get paid since they're in college. And we weren't sure of what the level of baseball was going to be and what the fans' reaction was going to be. Based off of feedback from our season ticket holders, our sponsors, our regular fans that are coming, they thought the baseball was much better than when it was single A, short season, which I agree with. So I think the baseball was just fantastic. The fun thing about this league is after 10 innings, if we go into extra innings, we end up going into a home run derby. And so the teams face each other after the 10th inning and have a home run derby to see who wins the game. So we hosted one last year for the first time ever. We had a catcher named Ethan Anderson, who he's the top prospect in the league. He's goes to Virginia. He's a switch hitting catcher, so that means he can hit from both sides of the plate. He'll be number one. He'll be the first round pick of the Major League Baseball draft in a couple of years, and he'll probably be a Major League All-Star at some point. And he was our representative for our home run derby at the ballpark, and he absolutely crushed it. The crowd went nuts, and it was just kind of a fun thing that was a little different from when it was a professional minor league baseball. So,
what are the stipulations in the contracts they have to sign?
Basically, that they're just going to be here for the time that they can. So it's a very simple contract since we're not paying them. They do pay us a stipend to cover some housing and food, but beyond that, it's just them coming up here. We work with their coaching staff, with their college coaches, to make sure that we don't, especially if they're pitchers, don't throw them too many innings, things like that. So it's a very they come to us for the summer, be a part of the team, and that's it. So it's very much different from when it was minor league baseball. Minor league baseball, the guys were under contract and technically employees of the ball club. So for example, with the Vermont Lake Monsters, when they were affiliated with the Oakland Athletics and also the Washington Nationals, Montreal Expos, they were employees of those clubs, and so they were governed by their major league club. So
They have any insurance?
they had insurance through the major league club since they were employees, and our guys have insurance through their families. They also take out a small insurance policy through the Futures League as well.
What's the insurance policy from the league? What is it? Health insurance? Is it life insurance? Is it...
I'm not sure on the specifics on that one. Yeah. Yeah. So a little history on the Futures League, which we talked about. We ended up setting a Futures League win record. We had 14 straight victories. Last year, our manager, Pete Wilk, was named co-manager of the year. We had our starting pitcher, Patrick Carrington, was named pitcher of the year. Ethan Anderson, which was the individual I was just mentioning, the catcher, the top prospect of the year, and then we were named Futures League Organization of the Year. And I was fortunate enough to be named Executive of the Year last year as well. So it was a whirlwind season, but it's we had some good success, and we're lined up and set to have another successful year here this year. So we do some great promotions throughout the course of the season here. We do 25-cent hot dog nights, so we do 3 of them a season here, sponsored by Mackenzie's. So on each of those nights, depending if the weather's good, we'll sell 10,000 hot dogs on one night. So 25-cent hot dog nights. This year we're doing 3 post-game fireworks shows, which happen after the game. Every Wednesday is Kids Eat Free night at the ballpark. On Tuesdays, it's senior night, so if you're 60 and over, you get half off the grandstand ticket, and you also get a voucher for free soft drink. We do Kids Run the Bases on Sundays, free face painting on Sundays. So there's a lot of stuff that's lined up for our season here. We also wear various jerseys. I brought down 2 of them today. This is the one that we wear, well, our guys loved this jersey last year, so they actually wore it for a lot of the games, but usually wear this for 4th of July days, Stars and Stripes days. So this is what one of the jerseys guys wear. This is our pink breast cancer awareness night, so the guys will wear this, and we team up to raise funds for breast cancer research. This year we'll also do a tribute to the Vermont Expos as a way to kind of recognize our baseball past in Burlington. And we also do a night called Vermont Maple Kings Night, which is a tribute to maple syrup producers in Vermont. And so we'll have a lot of maple syrup producers at the ballpark showcasing their product, and then we turn our concessions into fun things like hamburgers made with maple donuts and things like that. So as the video showed, we ended up doing a lot of renovations to the ballpark last year. We're continuing the renovations this year. Last year we had a custom-made Neapolitan pizza oven made for us. We make all of our pizzas homemade, 100% scratch on site, which are a huge fan favorite. We're adding a brand new ice cream stand, which has never really been there before. Added a bunch of new seating, throughout the ballpark, brand new bullpens. So things are looking good for the upcoming season here. So
is it UVM's field, or is it a separate field? Is it the field UVM uses?
Yep, it's UVM's field, and so we lease the field from UVM. And they're great partners, and it's a relationship that we've had since 1994. And it's a great ballpark. When people come and see it, people are coming from all across the country to maybe catch a baseball game, or they're visiting Vermont and they see the grandstand. It's just a really neat site, and so we're able to kind of give it a fresher look. And at the end of the day, most important thing is baseball is stable, and baseball's here in Vermont, and so we're really excited to be a part of it. So
you run buses?
We do. Yeah, we run buses. We run usually 3 to 4 shuttle buses every single day to the games, which they get packed with people. We have very limited parking. We can fit about 150 spots in the ballpark itself, since it's in a residential neighborhood. Then we also offer free parking kind of in surrounding lots. So at the Burlington School District, the Trinity campus, formerly Trinity campus, and UVM. And so people will take the shuttle buses for free. This year we're doing Bike Me Out to the ball game, so people can ride their bikes to the ball game. We have bike valets. We do a little bit of everything to try to make sure that when people come to the ballpark, they're enjoying themselves, having a nice night out, and it's very affordable, which is great.
You run buses from Manchester?
We have not, but Paige and I have talked about doing a fan bus from Manchester this season to catch a Lake Monsters game. So Monday through Friday, our game times are 6:35, Saturdays are 6:05, and Sundays are 5:05. We are hosting a game on, I believe it's July 3rd, that I believe is a 1:05 start. So,
It takes, what does it take, 2 hours plus some to get from here to the stadium?
that's probably pretty accurate. So I live in Rutland, Vermont, so it took me about 45 minutes to come down to Manchester today, and then I commute back and forth between Rutland and Burlington, and that takes me about an hour and a half, hour and 40, depending on the traffic on 7. Yeah.
So as if you can keep it, if it's 2 hours, well, you could run it up Route 7, I guess you could start in, down south, come up Route 7. You couldn't collect people on the way to Philly if you had to, I mean.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, and that's the one thing that we've realized, and this is what I realized, when my first day in 1997 when I came back as assistant GM, is this is Vermont's team. People are traveling, from a ways away to come cheer on and take a ball game in. This year, we're relaunching our Outstanding Student Program, which is a program that's geared towards all the schools across Vermont, where schools can recognize students in their schools for accomplishments. It could be academic accomplishments, it could be athletic, it could be community service accomplishment, where the school will recognize outstanding students, and we give those students a ticket to come to the ballpark. They go on the field, get recognized, announce their name, and it's just a cool event that people travel near and far to participate in.
Oh, very neat. So does that go to schools all across Vermont?
All across Vermont, yeah. Every school will get one, and there's several hundred kids that'll come. We usually do two or 3 nights where we bring them on the field to get recognized. So, yeah, so it's a cool thing. So keep your eyes out on your inboxes for the information on that.
Very neat.
Yeah. So we are really community based, and we just happen to be a baseball team, and so we're really excited about that. So.
Can I ask another question? So do you get like a lot of talent from a certain region? Because Pete could probably attest to this, but it seems like when Vermont kids go and play like New York teams, right, Pete? What happens?
We get crushed.
Yeah.
But the New York, and we also play New Jersey team, in White River Junction.
Yeah.
They completely crushed us. There was this one team called the Heaters, and then they crushed us like 20-1.
Yeah. So growing up in Vermont, playing baseball in Vermont, it's difficult at times. I mean, I remember our high school baseball season was 14 games, maybe 15 games, and a lot of those games were snowed out or the fields weren't ready yet, and so you're not playing a lot of baseball. Where teams, down like in Connecticut, where the weather is a little nicer, a little more tepid, then you're able to play a little more baseball. There's also a lot more population based down there, so a lot of people are competition's really strong, so they're really playing a lot of baseball. Now, what's happening is, even here in Vermont, is there's a lot of traveling teams. So a lot of teams are traveling to different states so they can play more baseball and be more competitive. But
Yeah, which is so interesting because I see such a barrier too in that, right? Like when it comes, maybe not necessarily with baseball, but with other sports. And that's the other interesting thing. Like a lot of kids in this region sign up for this travel club soccer, and that's where a ton of kids are right now. They're over in Albany playing fusion soccer, Saratoga or somewhere, and they'll just be gone for the whole weekend. And it's expensive. It's $700 to join, and then it's competing with sports that are in season like baseball. So we're losing a lot of kids to, base or soccer or lacrosse too has just come on the scene. So for a small population, like here in Manchester, they've been losing kids to these other sports.
yeah, Yeah, it's really challenging. I mean, playing sports, especially for younger athletes, it's really tough because you might need to make a choice to say, do I want to pursue baseball? Do I want to pursue basketball? Do I want to pursue soccer? Then at that point, you're playing that almost year-round now with traveling teams. And from a physical standpoint, it's not great for your body because your body doesn't have the rest time, doesn't have the opportunity to use different muscle sets. And I mean, when I was growing up, that just really wasn't an option. You know, you'd play a sport in the fall, you'd maybe play a sport in the winter or ski, and then play a sport in the spring. So, but I mean, even Vermont may not be a hotbed of baseball. There's been a ton of Vermonters that have gone on to play baseball, you know, in college. Owen Kellington is probably the most recent famous name. He played for U32. He actually played for us this past season here, and he got drafted, I believe, by the Pirates, I think it is, Pirates or Phillies. And so he's going to be playing Major League Baseball at some point here, and he's from Vermont. So, but we're at a little bit of a disadvantage here, just because we don't have the climate to get out and play as much. But with the travel teams, it would give them a little more opportunity to play. You guys have any other questions at all? Well, thank you guys very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys can come up to the ballpark and cheer on the Lake Monsters. We'll be there for a long time and get a high five from Champ or get a homemade pizza. So, go Monsters. Thank you.